Well, here it is, just what you wanted to see. Another Magnavox ZV427MG9 sent in to me from Montana this time. With a note enclosed, Dear Steve, I'm enclosing my Magnavox DVD VHS player for repair. I am excited to see that it can be repaired and usable again. I replaced a fuse, but did not go any further. The machine will load a VHS tape and the red power light does not stay on. I hope you can fix it and bring it back to life. Thank you so much, Jim from Butte, Montana. Okay, Jim, let's open this thing up and see what's inside. Man, take a look at the inside of this thing. It is absolutely immaculate. Look at the pinch roller on that thing. I'm not sure a single VHS tape has ever been played in this unit. Look at the fan blades. No dust accumulation whatsoever. This thing is in pristine condition, just like it came out of the box yesterday. But let's go ahead and power it up, see what happens. I do have it plugged in. I do not have it powered up at this time. I'll go ahead and get the VHS in view right here, and we'll power it up and pop a tape in it and see what happens. There is power on. The fan did start to run, and it is continuously running, and it just stopped. And I'll hit the power button on the unit. The red power light did light up. The DVD does say load, but nothing else happens. So I'll put it in the VCR mode. And I'll just pop a tape into it that if it eats it, it's okay. Oh, it doesn't even try to load. Nothing at all. Hasn't shut down yet. Oh, there it just shut down. Okay. That makes sense. Well, I'm wondering, remember a couple videos ago I had one that had a shorted capacitor and a damaged transistor? I wonder if that's what's going on with this thing. The loading motor's not bound up, it turns freely enough. Capstan motor turns just fine. Cylinder seems to spin okay, so nothing's really bound up in it. But if I try to put a tape in it, no action whatsoever. I wonder if the DVD player works. Okay, so I'm on the DVD side now. Let's go ahead and open the drawer and see if it even tries to open. And it does. Let's grab a DVD disc and put it in before it closes, I guess. It may have a dirty switch that detects whether the door is open or closed. Oh, it switched back over to VHS. Oh, that's strange. Oh, there, it just turned off. Interesting. DVD, loading, open. Oh, that's weird. It just shuts off. Okay. Well, it's possible because I moved the loading belt on the VHS mechanism and maybe trying to put it back in the home position. So I'm going to go ahead and just move the loading belt back home, power the unit back up, switch it over to DVD. Now we'll try to open the drawer. Oh, and it stayed open that time. I think that was it. So let's see if it'll go ahead and play a DVD at this point. It's loading okay. It made the beeps that I want to hear. The two little beep beep, beep beep as it's loading. Normally if I hear those, everything's going to be fine. Okay, so I'm just doing this part on my phone here. Let's go ahead and close the drawer and see if it's going to try to load a disc. Well, it certainly did load the disc okay. I wonder if it's going to play now. Well, so far so good. Yes, yes, yes. All the warnings. Oh my God. Just play the movie. That's why I like VHS so much. You can fast forward past all this junk. So far, it looks great. Let's hit play and see if it actually plays. Okay, that's good. Looks like it's actually going to play. So the DVD works. The VCR does not. So next, I'm going to go ahead and pull the complete mechanism out of the unit, and we'll see if we can take a look at it and maybe check that little capacitor and the transistor right off the bat. See if it looks okay. Okay, just because I've had this before, I'm just going to do an ohm check before I do anything else. And I want to check between pin 10, which is ground, and pin 2, which is the power on 5 volts. So ground is on pin 10. We'll ohm pin 2 to ground, and I see 7.2 ohms. Well, that tells me that capacitor is shorted. So I was measuring from pin 10 ground to pin 2, which is the power on 5-volt command, to the capstan motor. And I'm looking for this capacitor right here, C1544. I believe that is the culprit. So let's try to find that on the circuit board now. So it might be kind of hard to see on the camera, but this is C1544 right there. And I see 7.2 ohms. Let's go ahead and unsolder one side of it. Okay, so as you can see, I have the positive lead unsoldered right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure the pad now. And I see 231 ohms. That's okay. I was expecting to see about 2K. That's perfectly fine. So if I measure the cap, once again, I'm in the low ohm range, 10, 11, 12 ohms. 4, 3 ohms right now. Yeah, that's the culprit. So if I measure just the pad only without the capacitor, 231.2 ohms. If I add the capacitor to it, I'm at 5 ohms at this point, and it may change because I've done some physical stress to the capacitor. So next, I know there's going to be a damaged transistor. This transistor right here, Q1057. That's what supplies the 5 volts to that capacitor. This is P on 5 volt number 1. So chances are I've got a damaged transistor as well. So let's look for Q1057 and unsolder that and test it as well. Okay, here is Q1057. Let's do some ohm checks on it before I do anything else. Yeah, I see kind of a junction. I want to see about 0.6 to 0.7. I see 0.8, 0.9. Yeah, I'm not seeing a good junction on that whatsoever. There's the only good junction I see. 0.610, that's a bad junction. 0.9, no good. 0.6, perfectly fine. And 0.8, bad. I don't want to see 0.8. Let's go ahead and pull it out of the circuit and see what it checks like. Okay, here is the transistor. Let's put it in the MK168 transistor tester. We'll close the leads and we'll hit the test button. And I see a diode from pin 2 to pin 3, and that's it. That's all I was reading when it was in the circuit. Let's grab a new one and test it as well. Okay, new one in the transistor tester. Here we go. That one tests like a transistor. Look at that. NPN transistor, base collector emitter 1, 2, and 3, gain 229, and a forward voltage of 0.645 volts or 645 millivolts. Well, let's pop that one in the unit, put a new capacitor in here, and see if we get different results. Okay, new transistor and new capacitor are both installed. Let's go ahead and do an ohm meter diode check on the transistor and see if we can see both junctions clearly in the 0.6 range. .648 and 0.649, and we're not shorted. Collector emitter, nope, I see a diode in one way. So I'll go back to ohms now, and we'll check from the ground pin, which is the third pin in, to the 5 volt reference, which is the second pin, and I see 230 ohms. Perfect. Well, let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see if it works. I'll probably go ahead and clean the mode select switch just to be safe because I have it so far apart. And I'm going to go ahead and replace the 4700 microfarad cap in the power supply just as a preventative measure. And I'll go ahead and check the caps on the DVD board as well. Okay, the unit is very loosely assembled, and I use that term loosely, very loosely. So I'm going to go ahead and power the unit up. Make sure it's in the VCR mode. Kind of hard to see with the DVD player right in the way. But there are the indicator LEDs right here. VCR on this side, DVD on that side. And it took it in and ejected it, which is an indication of a mode select switch issue. And it loaded, but the loading motor is continuing to run and it shut down. Another indication of a mode select issue. Now, if I kept running this thing over and over, it would actually clean itself over time. So let's go ahead and give it a third try and see what happens. Oh, that time was much better. Let's hit play and see if it'll play. And it did. Third time's the charm. It's actually playing. I'm still going to go ahead and clean that mode select switch just to make sure I don't get a comeback on this thing. So remember, to gain access to the mode select switch, there are two screws. This one over here, which is a machine thread, and this one under the ribbon cable, which is a plastic thread. Try not to get those confused. The machine thread has a very fine thread to it. As you can see, the plastic thread has a much coarser thread. Okay, so I've stood up these cables so I can lift the chassis up. Now I'm lifting the chassis and supporting the circuit board. Then I can just lift this up and out of the way, and I'm going to prop it up with my hand. There's the mode select switch right there. Let's try to get a better view for you. Just grab it and lift. It snaps off. It's just got these plastic tangs that snap it onto the circuit board. And then look at that mode select switch. From here it looks terrible. It should be bright and shiny. Remember, use what you have available. I have a stainless steel toothbrush, a brass toothbrush will work fine, a fiberglass pen, anything to get down in here and just scuff up the contacts to remove the oxidation. Look at the difference already. Much cleaner just after a couple brush strokes. That's how it should look when you're all done. So next we'll hit it with some magical solution acetone. And I think while I have this up, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off the infrared emitter right here, as well as the infrared detector right here. I'll probably clean the bottom of the prism, which lives right up here. You can just barely see it right there. Get those taken care of while we have it up. Might as well service everything at the same time. So let's get some acetone, clean that off, get some dielectric grease, grease it up. But first, I'm going to go ahead and clean the movable portion of the mode select switch as well. So those contacts actually look pretty good. But remember, only brush them in one direction. All right, that looks really good. So just because it's here, I'll do this one first. I'm just going to wipe them with acetone, get any contamination off. Once again, one direction only. You can even see how much came off on the cotton swab right there. They look absolutely perfect. Next, I'm just going to hit them with a dab of dielectric grease, just on the contact points only. That should do just fine. It's all going to get moved around once I seat the switch back together. Now for the stationary side, a little bit of acetone right here. Remember, the acetone will not eat the plastic of the Funai symphonic type mode select switches, which is rebadged as Magnavox. Then we'll just dry it off with the dry end. Look at that, so much better than when we started. Next, just a little coat of dielectric grease on here. So if it's going to go down the middle, I don't care, and occasionally a hair gets left behind. It'll all be good. Now we snap the two halves back together, just like that. And I'm going to run this thing around multiple times in each direction, 20-30 times each way. Remember, when you're going to reassemble this unit, make sure that you line up this post right here with the circle right here. Just like that, so it will engage correctly in the actual mode gear. Next, I'll just wipe off the infrared emitter. And I'll try to get down into the receiver. Dry off the tip of the emitter. And dry off the receiver. And then up underneath here, while you've got it up, really hard to see, but I'll wipe off the entrance to the prism. And I'll dry that off as well. And just because this machine is in such good shape, I'm not going to remove the prism, which lives right here, and wipe off this portion. I don't think that's necessary. So next, I'm just going to very carefully align that post, and the two halves should come right together. Make sure we fold these cables back down that I've previously folded up. Okay, I think the VCR mechanism is completed. Let's go ahead and move on to the DVD portion at this point. Okay, let's check some caps and see what they test like. 0.6, not too terribly bad. 1.6, little tiny bit high for my liking. 0.27, perfectly fine. 3 ohms, that's a 47, not too terribly bad. 0.29, perfectly fine. 0.28, 0.20, perfectly fine. 0.73, little tiny bit high, but probably just fine. 0.21, just fine. It's a 47, 3 ohms, little tiny bit high. 1.7 for a 100, 0.4 for a 100, perfectly fine. That 1.7 is a little tiny bit high for my liking, at least. The 47, 2.5, tiny bit high. 0.43, 0.24, that one's perfectly fine. 2.8, tiny bit high for my liking, but probably just fine. 2.8 and 3.2. I'm not seeing anything really out of bounds on this unit. Let's go ahead and clean the optical pickup at this point. This one actually looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and shine a light on it real quick. A little bit of haze. Let's go ahead and give it a cleaning. Okay, just a regular cotton swab moistened with regular household glass cleaner. Very, very light pressure. Circular motions only. Got a couple of hairs off of there. You can see them clinging to the cotton swab. Now the dry end. A little bit less haze, but not much of a difference. It was actually pretty clean. Well, let's go ahead and put it back together. I'll load a VHS tape into it. We'll give it a record test. All right, so I went ahead and replaced the main filter cap, the one that's prone to failure. The original one was a Suscon. Sounds like suspect to me. 4700 6.3, but if you look closely, you'll see it's an 85 degrees Celsius rated cap. The new one is a good quality Nichicon, 105 degrees Celsius rated. There it is on the back. Might be hard to see, but it is a 105 Celsius rated cap. So let's go ahead and pop this thing all back together. I'll put it back in the frame, mount the DVD player back in it, put the front back on it. We'll pop a VHS tape into it. I'll do a complete DVD recording, finalize the disc, and then I'll play it back and make sure it plays correctly. Okay, so I have a blank DVD -R in the DVD drive, and I have a VHS tape. Now, the VHS tape only has about 30 minutes of video in SP mode on it, so I did set the DVD to the 1 hour mode. I have auto chapter every 5 minutes, auto finalize on, and I have make recording compatible on. So let's go ahead and hit the dubbing button, and it should take off, and it should start going. So we'll check back in about an hour or two and see what we have. Okay, so I think the unit finished up. It played this much of the tape right here, and then it stopped because the video basically ended after I think about 30 minutes. So it probably played a couple more minutes, then it just stopped. So I'm gonna go ahead and power this unit up, and I'll turn on the capture device, and we'll take a look and see what is on the disc. I'm not sure if it got finalized or not because I told it to go ahead and finalize when the disc was full. Okay, so capture device is running. So I'm gonna put it over in the DVD mode so we can take a look and see what it's doing. It's loading the disc currently. Okay, so it did finish recording something at 1:36 a.m. it looks like, 28 minutes and 54 seconds long. So let's just go ahead and go into the setup here. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the menu, into setup. Then I'm gonna go to disc edit and see if it lets me finalize the disc, and it does. So I'm gonna finalize the disc right now. And so it's going to write basically the table of contents to the disk and make sure that no other recording is possible at this time. Okay, there we go. The disk is finalized. So now I cannot record anything else on the disk or edit the disk. So next I'm going to take the disk out of this unit and I'm actually going to put it in a different DVD player. So let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so I have a little Sony DVD player here that I believe I used in DVD player servicing basics. So I'll put the disc in this unit and we'll see if it's going to read the disc, if it'll play it on a different player. People have said they have problems playing these discs on other players. Well, it seemed to load the disc just fine. It has the same title. Let's go ahead and hit the play button and see if it will play. There it is. The video is playing. I hear audio. This is a buddy of mine, Matthew, at Disneyland back in, I think, 1993 when I used to live. Well, I lived 4.2 miles from Disneyland, line of sight, and it was a 5.9 mile drive to get there from my apartment. Anyhow, there it is. It's playing. It recorded the disc. It finalized the disc. And the disc is playing fine on a different CD player. So that's going to be it. The end of the repair on the Magnavox ZV427MG9A. Go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern, good or bad. I try to respond to the comments when I have time. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really does help my channel grow. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at NorCal715. You can email me, NorCal715videos@gmail.com. Remember, with your help, we can try to keep these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everybody, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. Once again, everyone have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.